Ooh. It's not working. What's wrong? Hey,
Hey.
how's everybody doing?
Well, hey everyone, come on in. Good evening. Thanks for being here. As you know, we definitely want you all to share. Let us know where you are tuning in from. You are here with us where our conversations are unscripted, unfiltered, and uncut. Come on in and let's get the chat started. Hey guys, how are y'all? How's y'all's weekend or weekend? How was your weekend and the beginning of your week?
I'm pretty good.
Cute
haircut, Shanika.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I see a new person. Hello, Ricardi.
What's up?
Thanks for tuning in. Hello, Robin.
Hello.
Hey, Robin.
Yeah, come on
in.
Let us know where you're coming from. Hey, Kim.
Yeah, no, I had a good weekend. Saw some family. Then got hit in the head with daylight savings time, and and also it snowed up here. So I guess you guys probably didn't get any snow. But man, I mean, Saturday morning we had all these plans. Like, I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna go here, there, and I just looked outside and I went, oh, like
yeah,
blindsided.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I traveled last week and it snowed where I was too. So coming up, and then as we were returning home, we kind of got caught up in it in West Virginia, and it was really scary because if you're up in the mountains and then it just becomes fog and you can't see anything in front of you, and then it's like snow, and it just like I was just really nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope nothing happens. I hope there's no tractor trailers in front of us or no cars stopped or nothing is happening in front of us that we're coming up on and we can't see. But yeah, I definitely know what. I was like, oh my gosh, it's snowing, and I mean, I was happy. I was excited to see the snow, but I was glad to get back home too.
Yeah, we did get a few flurries on Saturday though.
Yeah,
really
like
cold.
Rain and snow mixed.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was not fun.
So did you get some inches up there, Amir?
Oh yeah. I don't know how much it was, but I mean, it iced over. I'm trying to clean off the car because my wife had a pregnancy craving. And, like I was like, all right, it was all good, but definitely not fun. It wasn't like too much, but it just was a surprise.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that was discombobulated with the time switch yesterday? I couldn't get myself together.
Today is hurting.
The time went back was Saturday night, right? Yeah. Well, actually, Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
Forward.
Yeah.
I took 10 milligram melatonin Saturday night. So when I woke up, I planned to have slept in because I didn't have anything to do. But then my in-laws were in town, and they called us like 9 o'clock Sunday morning wanting to go out to brunch. So I literally felt like I was like bumping into stuff because I was still asleep walking. And I'm like, this melatonin was supposed to help me sleep at least until like the afternoon time. So I don't know if it was the time change. I think it was a mixture of the time change plus that melatonin that kind of had me discombobulated.
Yeah. Right. Well, we got some interesting topics today.
We do. Guys, yes, continue to share. If you're just now tuning in, you are tuning in with the co-host of the chat. Continue to let us know where you're tuning in from. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into our topics for the evening. Make sure you chat with us. Make sure you voice your opinions. And we're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Who wants to get started? Do you want to go ahead and start with ours?
Sure.
Okay. You go ahead and give some background. If you miss out anything, I'll add.
Okay. Well, this Venus and Serena Williams movie is coming out. So Will Smith, he did have an interview with Gayle King, and it primarily was talking about the movie. But knowing Gayle, she had to slide in a little something extra. So she brought up the topic of infidelity in their relationship. Well, he was very swift to correct her and saying that we've never had infidelity in our relationship. Now I know, right, Amir? So we do know that both of them have openly admitted to, relationships outside of the marital bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, how do you or how would you define infidelity?
All right. So before we go into that, let me add a little bit of the backstory for people who may not be up to date with the whole situation. So you remember on the Red Table Talk, which is Jada's show on, what is it, on Facebook? I think on Facebook.
Yeah.
And she was talking about, was it over a year ago? She was talking about the entanglement. That's when that term came out, that she had later clarified was actually a romantic relationship that she had with singer August Alsina.
Yep.
Right, when her and Will were supposedly separated indefinitely. Then about a year later, Will shed some light on the situation, saying that Jada had never really believed in a conventional marriage. And that was an interview that he had with GQ, if you remember. But this weekend, when he had a conversation with Gayle, like you said, talking primarily about the movie, he revealed to Gayle that there's never been any type of infidelity in our marriage. He said, Jada and I talk about everything, and we have never surprised anything on one another, ever. That's what he clarified to Gayle King. So now, with your question.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, is it considered infidelity if it's open and honest communication between the two of them? Can you say they're cheating on each other?
I think that when you make the decision to be honest with a person, I think you make the decision to be honest with them so that there will not be any surprises.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's better for it to come from me that I'm having these thoughts or these feelings or whatever, because I'm in a situation or I'm in a marriage or I'm in a relationship or whatever with you. So, if they are choosing to define it as no infidelity, nobody was sitting up there. She wasn't sitting up there side-eyeing him saying, you better say this or you better say that. I feel like if that's what he says, like, why can't it not be believed? Why do we have to be like, it's just like, it's not believable. It's not believable because that's somebody else's situation. Because I just feel like if I say to my husband, listen, I'm thinking, I'm in a relationship with you, things are not going right. I'm thinking to get a boyfriend. I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that. And I came back and I'm like, listen, this is what I told my husband. And this is what, his reply was, and he replied, if I'm telling you that, why is it not believable? Is it not believable because you don't think that you could do it in your own relationship? Is it not believable because you just don't like who really says those sorts of things in a relationship, or is it just mind blowing that people are actually sharing that in their relationship and they don't look at it as being infidelity?
Well, let me say this. Like I said before, I always felt like Will was going along to get along. I always felt that. I felt that way before he came out with the second interview saying that Jada has always never believed in a conventional relationship, despite of him saying what he ever believed in. But let me say this, the infidelity has a definition. And it is not considerate of honesty and openness. That's number one. And number two, everyone has the right to redefine terms as they see fit in their relationship. But infidelity alone has a definition. And I just don't believe that the way that their relationship is, that these thoughts, and remember, infidelity is different from adultery. So infidelity has an emotional, you just can't tell me that they talked about emotional connections before emotional connections. Oh, I think I'm gonna have an emotional connection with this guy. He's really, that doesn't happen. You talk about these things once they surface. And when you reference an infidelity, that's already has happened once the emotional connection has developed. So
Infidelity has a negative connotation to it, though. I think if it's open and honest communication, then they're just redefining infidelity, as you say, to suit their marriage and their relationship.
And that's okay.
I think a lot of relationships are doing that. Whether it's an open relationship, polyamory, whatever, people are redefining things, defying all types of expectations that people set on them. It was interesting because me and Justin, we're in a same-sex like dinner club thing that we do. Well, we got on the topic of open relationships and like last year when we were talking about respectful cheating or something like that. When we were talking about that, and basically, if I don't find out, then it's cool, something like that. And a lot of people had a lot of different viewpoints going on, but basically, people were trying to say that in 2022, you had to define things for yourself.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's across the board, really, not even for relationships, but for everything. People are defining things for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you all. I mean, I think at the end of it, like Chanel said, I agree with you. Infidelity has a specific, like a denotation, right? Like the agreed upon definition when someone's unfaithful. But then you got to go, if they know about it, is it being unfaithful? Is it an agreement? But to me, I think the key with them is that infidelity didn't happen while they were together, so it wasn't infidelity, as far as I understand it. But it still hurt him. And so they still had to discuss it. And so I think when you phrase the question like, is it infidelity if they're communicating or as long as they know about it? I'm like, yeah, you just being honest about the infidelity. And as long as they're able to forgive you, I mean, sure, but
okay,
still infidelity.
So is your viewpoint that he found out after the fact, or they're in so sync that she said, okay, I'm digging this guy and this is what we're going to do, and he knew about it? Are you thinking that it was like a confession after the fact or before? I think that makes a difference in it.
For me, I think it was a confession after the fact, just from the way Will was talking about their marriage. I mean, to me, Jada wasn't happy. And although Will said, "Oh, we communicate all the time," that wasn't true. They admitted that during the Red Table Talk. And I mean, I wasn't there, right? They could be lying about anything. But Jada said she was unhappy. So you mean to tell me she was just honest with Will the entire time for their relationship, and then suddenly she just, he knew she was unhappy the whole time? Then I don't know. It just seems like he's exaggerating.
But I think that even when she said that she wasn't unhappy, when she was unhappy, it was like he then said, I can't make her happy. Like, I can't make her happy. So I do think that he knew that she was happy. He was like, it was not for me to make her happy. She needed to make herself happy. That's an expectation that was put that basically she can't make me happy. I can't make her happy. She's going to have to figure out what happy is for her. So, I mean, I think that there was still a conversation on what, that she wasn't happy. Now, to what degree? Like, okay, maybe it's the relationship part that I'm not happy with. Maybe it's myself I'm not happy with. Maybe it's my work I'm not happy with. Because I think that not being happy is not just surface. It's many things and it's layers. And it can be layers of things that we're not happy with. And you have to tap into each one of those areas to find out, okay, where exactly. And then some of those things tie in together. It's like, okay, I can't function in this part because my house is not clean, and I'm not happy because I can't get my house together. It's unorganized. Then that taps over into work because that's spilling over there. I can't focus in. So to me, it's just many layers. But I do think that they've had enough, or they did. And again, I'm like you, Amir, I wasn't there, but I do believe that they had enough conversation to cover the grounds of saying that she was not happy. I mean, and I think that sometimes the things that Jada says, people take way out of context, because even when she was saying, I just want for her 50th birthday or something. She said she wanted to learn how to love more. And then everybody took that and was like, she just dogging out Will. She just dogging Will. And it's like, how is she dogging Will? Because she wants to learn how to love more or love deeper, whatever, however she says it. Because I was like, I got it. Like, I think that people just take things and just run with it. And when things are not conventional to people or what they deem to be the norm, it's a mess. It becomes a mess. If you don't understand what my normalcy is or what's normal for me or what's normal for my relationship or good for my relationship, then it's wrong for you. And it's like, it can't be that, because whatever you do in your relationship and how you, whatever, for your children, for your relationships, whatever relationships, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just that you're choosing to do it a different way.
Right.
So I think that people really need to, like not insert themselves where they don't need to be inserted, and understand that people do things that work for them. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong, because it's, as it has been said, there's many ways to skin a cat.
Right. So that goes back to the original question. How do you define infidelity?
I think, again, it's situational. I feel like it's situational. If we have a conversation, it's like, okay, if we set these boundaries and we say, okay, we're going to engage in this polyamorous or a poly or whatever type of situation, we're engaging in this, or we are swingers, let's just say, but we only swing together. We don't swing separately. We don't swing with another, because then that becomes infidelity. Because that's not what we talked about. That's not how this was set up. So I think that people have to find what their definitions of everything. I think everything in 2022 is situational. Like, I don't think anything is conventional. Nothing is, people are not doing things conventional anymore. People aren't just wearing white dresses to weddings. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're not getting married anyway.
I mean, even diamond rings, right?
People ain't get married on Saturdays no more. You might go to a Thursday night wedding. Like, I don't know.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
So people are not doing things that were normal. What people deemed as normal, because what is normal?
Traditional. Yeah.
Right.
So
That's true.
Yeah. I think with infidelity, there are levels to it, whether it's like texting or flirting, all the way up to intercourse. I think there are different levels to it. I've been able to gauge what's right and wrong by, if it's nothing that I would do in front of my spouse, then it's probably some form of infidelity. If it's something with another person, same sex, opposite sex, then dude, you're probably doing something that you shouldn't.
That's a great, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
It kind of, sort of keeps me out of trouble. Sometimes I listen, sometimes, But I do know that you can gauge it that way.
You know what? It's funny that you say that too, because this is like, I think that this also carries over into, like, as you say, whether it's with the same sex or opposite sex, because my thing about having friends of the opposite sex, like, do you think do you think it's okay to have friends of the opposite sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I do have friends that are of the opposite sex, and I had to tell Walter, like, I was talking to him one day, and I was just like, a person. I mean, I don't want to say necessarily a friend, but somebody that was reaching out to me in reference to something that we were involved in, and a group that I was involved in, and he was trying to get information. And so then, like, when he would call, I would like initially when he was calling, I was like answering, and then I just stopped answering, and I was like, this just seems weird. And I was like, but why are you making it weird, Shanika? Like, why are you making it weird? Like, you doing something wrong by answering his calls, but you was answering his calls before when he was asking about Toastmasters. And it's just like, okay, well, he's still asking about Toastmasters or whatever. Like, why are you making it weird? And that, and it's just like, sometimes, even it's just funny when you say that, because I had to check myself. I was like, you making it look like it's something going on, and it ain't nothing going on. Like,
Yeah. I mean, some people really just take it as far as like, is this person attractive? Oh, well, they're friends with attractive people. Oh, then, maybe they became friends because they were attracted to them. And I mean, to me, I think even if it's not a sexual attraction, I mean, it is kind of funny when you think about that. Like, do you know many people who have a bunch of friends that they just don't look right together? everyone kind of, when you hang out with people, what is it they say, birds of a feather flock
Flock
together.
together.
And you just tend to try and surround yourself with people, and maybe they all look attractive, but you never really think about it, right? But I think it kind of lends to, I mean, first off, we're calling them opposite sexes. And in my head, I'm still kind of like, men and women are more similar than they are different. So it's like, are they really an opposite? And then obviously nowadays we got plenty of genders thrown in there and nonconformity. So that makes it even more complicated. But I think just if everyone's traditional, and has this idea of just like, they don't mix.
Mm.
I'm like, that's on you. Like, if you believe that, you can't attribute that to other people. You can't push that out. Like, just because you only have friends of the same sex doesn't mean other people can't do it. Like,
and then my thing is, you can't assume that just because a person has a bunch of friends of the same sex that none of those people are attracted to that person. Like, like you can't. That's why I'm just like, you can't limit the friends that people have, because it's so many people. Just like you said, I mean, there's so many people out here who are, non-conforming and not, so you never know who's attracted to who. But I'm not going to go through this world not having any friends because.
Yeah.
Why does that feel like a shot fired?
Because somebody is not, they're not gender conforming, or they, or they, like, no, like, it's too much. It's just like, okay, you just have to set right your own boundaries of how those friendships are of value to you, because I think so many things are going on. Like, it's too hard to be trying to say, you're not.
Remember that?
People, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So, but what is okay? Well, oh yeah, well, you already said, because I mean, I don't know. People just, infidelity is such a dirty word. It's not really that dirty. Like, I don't know. It's like,
well, I mean, but to me, it's dirty. It's designed to be dirty, even if it's not about relationships. The other definition, when they call those people infidels, like, you're being unfaithful to God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is an insult.
I mean, it's like trying to say adultery, trying to redefine adultery. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can make it work for yourself, but
yeah, I think I think it's just an agreed upon definition. The question is what you're doing part of that definition? And I think that's where things change depending on the relationship.
Awesome.
Right.
Okay, so do we have any HGTV fans? Because the show Flip or Flop, anybody familiar with that?
I've watched Flip or Flop.
I never watched HGTV until I met Justin. But the show Flip or Flop, it has two people who they used to be married, Tariq and Christina. Well, they announced on Thursday that the show is coming to an end after 10 years. And the series is saying that because it became too intimate for the people who used to be exes and who they share two kids. So people close to the show said that they're co-parenting and nothing gets in the way of that. But the show was just getting to a point where it was just too intimate for them. This came after the exes had a fight on the set of the series this past July. And the guy, whose name is L, yelled at the female, the woman, his ex-wife, and compared her to his current wife. He said, look at me. It's called winning. The publication also said that he called his ex-wife a washed-up loser during the incident. So the person who basically released the story to people said that there are exes who share history and children and a workplace, but outside of co-parenting, they are not friends. So I want to know, what's your policy? Do you think that you can remain friends with your ex, or do you feel like people have become your ex for a reason?
Okay, can you clarify something for me? Because I think I'm confused. So Flip or Flop, the two main cast members, are they are the exes, or are they the current?
They're the exes.
Okay, so they both have
both remarried
other people.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but they have children together.
They have children together, and then they were in the contract, so they were working together.
Okay, so they have children and this business together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Now, what was your question again?
So do you feel like, I want to know, evidently being friends after being married, it didn't work out because the guy said arguing and him comparing her to the current wife, whatever. So this business deal is over. I think the article said they're going to continue doing their separate ventures to fulfill the contract because they signed like a multi-million-dollar, multi-year deal. So they haven't fulfilled that, but they're going to do it separately. So friendship isn't going to work for them. But what is your policy? Do you feel like you're able to be friends with your ex, or have you experienced being able to be, friends with your ex, or do you feel like, no, people become your ex for a reason and you should just split ties with them?
I take B.
Oh my God. You take B? You should do? So no dealing, so it's like, bye. No, the love is just gone, it's cut off.
After the love is gone.
I mean, and maybe it's because, well, I can't even say it's because I do have 2 daughters and they have a father. But we ain't friends.
Y'all not friends?
No.
Okay.
We exes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I do think co-parenting could make the difference there, but I kind of think about it as how was the relationship and why did you break up? I mean, unfortunately for me, well, fortunately because now I'm happily married, but I didn't have any breakups where I was like, yeah, and the only one that I did have, she started pushing boundaries in my new relationship. So, I get into a new relationship and, I'm getting calls at all times. And the last straw was she called me during Valentine's Day. I mean, we were friendly, but, I'm like, I have a girlfriend and I'm on the date. Why are you calling me? Like, hi. And she was trying to complain about her current relationship. I'm like, I don't want to hear about your new what? Like, I'm trying to enjoy my Valentine's Day. I don't care that whoever you're with now didn't take you out. Leave me alone. So I just think sometimes I haven't had that experience personally where I felt comfortable befriending an ex because most of the time it ended where I'm like, man, I don't even want to. They got on my last nerve. I don't want to deal with them anymore.
Okay. All right, Shanika, what do you think?
Well, I think that I honestly think that it depends on the situation. I think that the people that you can, if even with them being an ex, how did it end? I think that there's a possibility that you can be friends with your ex. Because even though a person is your ex, it doesn't mean that it ended bad. It just means, sometimes it means even if you're in a marriage, it just means that, maybe you all have, the love has changed or you all have changed and you've just decided to amicably go your own way, or, you made the decision to just let it go. Like, but it didn't end on a bad note. And it's just like, okay, this is my friend, or any relationship. So I don't think that all relationships, end bad. And, because people say, well, they're your ex for a reason. And it's like, well, yes, but it does not necessarily mean that it ended bad.
Yeah.
To the point that you have to say that I'm just not going to be your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes some people are better friends than they are lovers,
exactly.
Or, in relationships. And it's like, your friendship was really good. You were a really good friend to me. I trust you with certain things, but you just were not, a good husband or a good wife or a good, lover, good, whatever. So I mean, I think that I definitely do think it's possible. And I do think that it is, unless you just absolutely cannot be friends with your ex that you share children with, then, then don't, but at least get along for the sake of the kids, at least. At least make it, and a peaceful situation for the children.
Right.
Which,
you can only try, right?
Right. And this, this is funny to me because it's the
that's right. Put on the face.
And did they say we could just be friends? That's okay.
Right. It's a couple of situations, like even with Jeannie Mai's ex-husband, he recently came out and said that, he went from trash to treasure, and like people are really like dogging out their, exes when she announced that she had the baby, and he was like, I just went from trash to trash. And I was like, wow, like that's really a bit much. And then this guy with the flip and flop, like he's kind of nasty a little bit. Like you ever watch the show, he can be a little nasty.
Yeah, he can be.
He can be a little nasty. So
I mean, look at who he replaced his wife with.
Yeah. That's unresolved. That's unresolved business. And that's what I was saying.
A twin.
I think the key to me, actually, because I've only been in 3 relationships, and we may not become friends like the day after, but I don't have an ex that I can't talk to and laugh with. And my ex before this marriage was the best man in my wedding. So we're besties. Thank you. Okay. He was the best man in my wedding, and we talk all the time. So I think the key for me is the punctuation has to be there. It had to be a period. I had to know that, us being friends was not going to be my opportunity to slip back in, and him agreeing to be my friend was not going to be his opportunity to try to make it work again. We had to realize that part of our relationship and our existence is over. We're going to try to work on this friendship that we always had, or that we developed in our relationship. Yeah. That was a good example of he's not over her. So of course it was going to be a toxic relationship, because he went and married somebody that he thought looked just like her.
Yeah,
that would have been a red flag.
You want to know something? I don't think he really know that yet. Like, I just don't think in his healing journey that I think somebody's going to end up having to point that out to him.
Yeah, and look at who she's with now, or at least that's.
Oh my God! So they're still in love. That's why they can't do it.
Yeah,
and that happens. That'll happen. Yeah. Okay, who's next?
Yeah. So, because I mean, while we're talking about it, like, not that I have much, but even with like Devon and Megan Good, like even with their split, they came together and, said that split together, but they were still friends. But I think that they had to release one another from the obligation of being, I think, what he expected and what she thought that she could do and ultimately couldn't. Mm-hmm. I think that he thought that she would be able to slightly or fully conform to being the first lady. And I think that in her heart of hearts, I think she kind of wanted to, but then, when it was all said and done, they both realized that it, and I think still it was a part of him that said that he was not going to, I feel like, my opinion, that he just was not going to take her through trying to conform to be something that just was not of her. I think
I agree with you on that, Shanika, because I don't think they gave it enough time. I mean,
you don't think that you don't think that they're but okay, so that's funny that you say that, because I'm thinking to myself, like when in that situation, him being a pastor and then her being, in movies, and she's very, she's beautiful, right? And they said that she gave up smoking. Like, she used to smoke before she was with him, and she gave up smoking. It was things that she gave up to be with this man. And then, then it was just like, okay. And then she said she was going to church, but then she didn't really feel welcome to church, so she stopped going to church. So I honestly was wondering to myself when I was reading it, like, did he feel like it was just time for him to release her from trying to conform to the type of wife that he wanted? Not even just being the first lady, but this the type of wife that society deemed him to need.
I think he didn't feel that way, but I still feel like he didn't give it enough time. He knew he married a worldly woman. I mean, she was in a Plymouth Club or whatever it was. I mean, he knew that. He knew she wasn't a woman of the cloth. He knew that. And I mean, they weren't married that long. And she had been, as you say, and I agree with, making strides. But it is hard to, and I mean, it is hard to, now all your dresses need to be at the knee. You got to have the handkerchief in your pocketbook, because you got to put it on the knee when you sit down. Dress right.
Did she ever try that?
But I'm just, it's a lifestyle.
I don't know, because remember I don't know if y'all ever remember that one time that they were at an event, and a lady stood up in the audience, and it was like question Q&A time. And a lady stood up in the audience, and she was pretty much like, okay, so now you're married to this pastor, are you going to cover up?
See?
And he said, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. She ain't covering up. I'm not telling her to cover up. She is who she is. I'm not telling her what to do, and she ain't covering up her boobs in Jesus' name. In Jesus'
And then
name.
he got persecuted for it outside of the pulpit.
Goodness.
So, I just think that, people, it's a lot of relationships, I think, out here that people are wanting people to conform.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people just aren't. In 2022, I think that people are really like, this is who I am. And then I think that that's why people end up in these poly relationships or these, like, okay, like we are good together for this, but me and this person are good together for this. And then me and this person are good together for this, or whatever. And then that becomes what's traditional or, for those people. And I think that, even going back to Will and Jada, like, I think that that's how that happened. You know what I'm saying? That's just how that happened. Like, everybody, even though you married, so everybody just ain't meant to be a pastor's wife. I mean, I
agree. I don't know if you guys follow Shawnee O'Neal, Shaquille O'Neal's ex-wife.
Oh yeah. She just married.
I follow her because I've been a fan of Keon Henderson. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a mega church pastor out of Houston. But he just proposed to her a couple months ago. And when I see her, she is covered. But she'll wear her skinny jeans and stilettos with a blazer. I mean, they just mesh very well. But he is more of a non-traditional pastor, meaning he'll wear jeans and button down in the pulpit. Mm. So, I mean, yeah.
As far as like what you were saying, Chanel, as far as they didn't give it enough time. I think when they met, because I know they met on the set of Jumping the Broom, I believe their intentions could have probably been very pure and honorable. They wanted to see, if they can make it work. And they probably talked about, well, I'm this type person. And he was like, I don't care about that. And then trying to make it work, it probably just didn't. So I don't think it takes a long time for you to figure out, this
well,
is
yeah, that makes sense. But I know he knew he didn't get her out the pulpit.
Right, but I think his decision was based on her. I think that his decision, I think that he did well by her by saying, I am no longer going to try to make you
to force you into a life that doesn't fit.
Right. And then
that's honorable.
And then they split still on good terms. I mean, I still think that she loves him. I still think that he loves her, but it's just no reason, which is, like you say, it is honorable. So, like, do you think it's reason? Do you think, I think people can do it, but do you think people, common folk, do it, just like, okay, I realize that I'm trying to make you be something you're really not ready to be. So, because I do see like a lot of ultimatums people give people. It's like, we're gonna get married, or you not, and then people, it's like, okay, well, if I can't live here, I don't really have anywhere to go. So I guess I need to go ahead and get married. And then it falls apart because you really didn't want to get married in the first place, but because you didn't have nowhere else to go, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I have a question for it, but it's really not. It's like how do you keep from trying to, conforming? People conforming to are making people be what you want them to be and just be themselves. Like, why are people so adamant on not letting people be themselves?
Oh my God. No.
So, and I don't know. I'm conflicted. I mean, I'm not conflicted because I know, okay, so, it's no secret that I'm single. But, I tend to throw a fish back in the sea pretty quick when I see that it's, there's a misalignment. So I get it. Yeah, I get it.
So is there a certain amount of expectation? And I mean, this is for everybody. Is there a certain amount of expectation that you have of a person of changing, like, or conforming? It's like, okay, like she said, she smoked, she stopped smoking. was that a little thing or was that a big thing? It's like, okay, well, like whatever is. I mean, even in your relationships, is there something that you did or your significant other did that they stopped doing because they got with you that they necessarily wouldn't stop doing had they not got with you? And how much conforming did they do? How much conforming did you do? How much, what I'm saying? Because, at 21, when I got married, I think I think I did conform. I think that because when I hit 45 and it was nobody there for me to take care of, I was like, who the hell am I? What the hell do I like? I like what these people like.
So in a relationship, in a marriage, when you're getting with somebody and you're figuring out if you guys are going to make it work, is the correct word to use conform? If you're talking about forever,
I think compromise maybe.
Sacrifice, or are you willing to? I don't know. Is it growth? Is it? I don't know if I keep hearing conform. But I'm like, conform seems so forced.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be.
But sometimes some things are forced. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like she was forced to stop smoking because she was, that's not something she, it's like, okay, I'm part of the church. I'm part of this with this man's life.
But do you think he asked her? Do you think he asked her, or she probably just came to that conclusion on her own because he's a pastor and she was in line to be a pastor's wife?
I mean, I think that she probably made that decision on her own, but I think that in some instances, when we get into situations with people, it's like, okay, it's just like this. If I'm with somebody who upholds an image and they're Gucci down, but I'm Walmart, like, do I not? It's like, okay, wait. Like I always have to conform to what they look like. Like I can't be on their shoulder in Walmart and they Gucci down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think we could agree in this case, conformity is a choice that somebody makes. I think what you're asking, should they make that choice? I mean, it can be forced, obviously, but I think really just stopping smoking, I mean, that's great that she stopped it if that's what she wanted to do, but it's not good if she was resenting it and bitter. Like, man, I quit smoking because
and bringing it up all the time.
Yeah, if I could have just, if I could have continued smoking, I would have been happy. But it didn't seem like that's what she quit smoking for, was to make him happy as much as it was like for her own well-being as somebody who wanted to join a community. And
but why bring? Okay, because I mean, even with you saying that, I feel like, okay, because to me, if it was something that I was trying to do, I'm not gonna bring it up. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was something that I was working on, I'm not going to bring it up, which gives me the impression that you stopped doing it because you got in this marriage with this man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got this. If it was something that I was working on, it's like, okay, well, I was working on that anyway, so it's not even no reason to bring that up because
So don't put it on this if you were doing it. Yeah.
Right. So I think that I do think that sometimes we do conform. I think some changes we do make on our own, and I do think that some things we do conform to. I mean, and yeah, it is. I mean, we do. It's just like, okay, like, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of all things, I think.
So
I do think
that's my question is, now that we'll ask that question, after a while in a relationship and you wake up and you have made so many changes or have conformed, you're a different person, whether good or bad. Is there some form of resentment that sets in? So now that because of all the things that you've conformed to, whether asked upon or not, like you wake up, you're like, well, dang, I did this and I'm not doing that, or I don't have no more short dresses, everything below the knee,
Absolutely. But whose fault is that at that point?
Well, yours, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can be resentful. I think really, to answer your question, Chanel, it really is about why you made the choice. And if you really can't live with it, like I couldn't live without it, then yeah, you'll be resentful, but you can't say anything. I mean, you can't blame them. I think really the best way, because sometimes people make these choices like Kina's saying there, that Kiana is saying, that you want to make people comfortable. But sometimes if making them comfortable makes you uncomfortable, it's okay if you change your mind. Like, I tried to do this to conform to what you were expecting of me and your family or whatever. Oh, I know your family doesn't like smokers. Like, I'm going to try and stop smoking, that kind of stuff. But, you know, if at some point you're like, man, I've been trying this and I'm not happy anymore, like I'm trying to conform, it's okay to say to that person, like, I tried to do this for you and it's not working. Like, we need to find a different solution here. If they smoke, maybe they should just go outside. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I say, you know, I say let the shoe fit from the beginning. I mean, I can't do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I just think I advocate for people to speak up instead of getting resentful. So, like, you know what? I said I was going to put the seat down in the bathroom and it's not working for me. I'm too lazy. I don't know. I'm kidding. But, you know, at the end of the day, just be honest about that. You're starting to feel bitter about it. And then, you know, you could go from there. But I hope people aren't making decisions just because.
But I think that people also go into relationships thinking that they can change people. It's like,
And that's
okay,
what I was going to say. Compatibility is key.
Mm-hmm.
yes, I think people do go into it's like, okay, well, I could deal with this now, but after a while, you won't be going to match up perfectly. Right, I agree. I definitely agree. I definitely agree with all that, like what Fabian just said. Low esteem is why people conform. I don't know. I don't necessarily say I agree with that either. I think
I agree.
I agree.
Low self-esteem that
Yep.
people conform.
I agree 100%.
I don't know. I
Well,
can't
from
say
the
that.
situation when she was saying, like, now I have to wear these skirts down to my knees, whatever. If you were confident who you were, you wouldn't wear your skirts down to your knees. You would be yourself.
But I think that is a part of, like, okay, I'm in this relationship with you, and it's an image. It's almost like it's an image. Like, nobody really told her to do that, but maybe in her mind it's like, okay, this is what's expected of me because I'm going to this church, and like he already has a flock that's following him, so maybe this is what I should do, you know,
But
or
if you have
whatever.
a strong self-esteem, you would be able to say, "This is me. He can take me or leave me and his
Him
father.
and the congregation.
Him and the congregation,
Ultimately,
him and the
well,
church."
yeah, but I mean, and I think that ultimately she got to that.
Him
She got
and
to
the
that
congregation,
she
okay?
realized that she wasn't feeling wanted. Like, she didn't feel like she fit in when she went to church. So she said she stopped going. She stopped going to church because she felt like she wasn't being received, I guess, by the people because she was being her.
Now,
You know what I'm saying?
I just want to throw in there, you know, when we say self-esteem, I mean, you know, we know it's about how we view ourselves, but there's not just high self-esteem and low self-esteem. Some people have an inflated self-esteem. And if you have an inflated self-esteem, you don't conform, but it's a negative. It's not good that you're not conforming because the way you do it is at a detriment. You start burning bridges, you know, like you're being unreasonable about the conforming. Like, it's like, okay, hey, you know, we all follow. If there's a reserved parking spot in the neighborhood, you know, that's my parking space. Someone who has a inflated self-esteem may be like, I don't care what you think. I'm parking here anyway. So I just mean, like, people, if you have a high self-esteem, you're open to criticism, and you might take somebody's criticism and say, you know what? I agree. Smoking isn't really good for my health anyway. Maybe I could change that. Low self-esteem people are like, you know, it's a little bit different. It's not just because they have low self-esteem. High self-esteem people sometimes will conform as well, but only after really taking in consideration of what is being said about them or what they're trying to join.
I agree.
I agree though on the low self-esteem situation because they, you know, they weren't receiving her and she was committed. Why would you stop going?
Well,
Right.
okay, well, it's like this. Okay, it's like this. Have you ever in a relationship purchased or bought clothes for a person because you didn't like what they wore? You didn't like something that the attire that they wore. You wanted to see them in something different, you know, and then so are you saying that, okay, they should look at you and say, I don't want that, like I don't want to wear that, like I don't, you know, and then for you to turn around and be like, well, you rude, like I was just buying you a gift, you know, in the back of your head is like, I really don't like the shit that you wear, so I'm trying to revamp your shit, so like, so take this, you
I
know.
believe in being honest, but
Yeah, but
you
everybody's
can
not
be nice about it, kind of. Because I've had somebody buy me something to wear that I've never worn,
Mm-hmm.
and they knew it. I was never gonna wear that. Now, have you ever seen anything like that?
Well, I mean, right, but you, me, and okay, but that's not everybody's story. You know what I'm saying? It's not everybody's story. So it's just like, that's my question. Like, so if you are wanting to, like, okay, like it, like I've purchased my husband some things, you know, I mean, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what's in, you know, in my mind. I'm like, this is what's in, and he has certain things. I'm like, okay, that's no longer in. Well, he wears his uniform all the time, so he doesn't just wear, you know, he is very.
That's understandable. That's understandable. That's different. Bringing somebody up to, you know.
Right. My thing is because I see what the trends are.
Right.
But again, that's not everybody's story. If it's just like, okay, I just don't like what you're wearing. I don't like it. So I'm going to slowly buy you things and, you know, and say to you, oh, this is what's in. Like,
see, I'm a exit stage left on that. I'm a exit stage left on that.
Does that translate? This might be a stretch, but does that translate to you're not enough?
That translate. Now, I'm not really what you looking for. So why don't you go on over it?
No. Okay, so are you okay? So have you ever bought Justin any clothes?
Everything you see, yeah. But it doesn't mind me doing that because that's the industry I'm in.
Okay.
He doesn't mind me doing that. It's not a diss to him. It's just that's not of interest to him, so he doesn't mind me dressing him up.
Okay, he said
it's not me saying you're not good enough. What you got on is not good enough. I'm gonna put you in this. It's that he could care less, and that's
exactly.
Yeah,
but if you have somebody,
so would you? Okay, so then, but somebody would come along and be like, okay, but he's conforming because he's conforming to what you like. Because if he didn't care, why do you care? Why do you care what he?
They would never know unless I had just said it. They would never know.
No, wait, you blurred out. I mean,
I said they would have never known if I hadn't just said it. It's not going around, you know, saying I dressed you, blah 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 blah. Because
I keep missing it. Like it's okay. I don't know. You're getting stuck.
Is it going? Am I going in and out?
Yes. To me, on my end, I don't know what's happening.
Let's see. Move my microphone. Okay. Can you hear me better?
That's like where you start going out while you're talking, and then when you test it, you sound perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So say what you said again, Will.
I said that. I forgot what I said. I do that a lot.
You said that nobody would know.
Nobody would know that I dressed him if I hadn't just said it, because it's not like I go around downing him or complaining about what he has to people. Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, but in you know, that's what I said earlier. Like, okay, like even though you're not even saying to him, like, I really don't like the clothes that you're wearing, but I'm slowly going to be buying you things, taking out your stuff, adding in the stuff that I like. So are you, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you basic? Like, is that a form of you trying to get him to conform to what you like versus what he really like? No, because it's not a concern of his. I believe if he had his own style, and I was saying this is not good enough, and replace it with something,
I was gonna say that it's the perception of the person you're buying it for.
But what he wears is just no concern. So I mean, sometimes he'll ask, "I need you to dress me for X, Y, and Z." I'll be okay. That's no problem, because that to me that is of importance to me. But it's not that down him; it's just something that he could care less about.
Okay, like I mean, Kanye West was dressing Kim Kardashian.
Was he?
Right? I remember that there was a whole thing about how it was like people were saying that how come his girlfriends all look the same, and it was like because he's dressing them. You know, he wanted to be a stylist. Rapping just came to him, but like, you know, and producing, but he wanted to be in the fashion industry, and we could say he has questionable style, but everyone has a different, you know, idea of what style is, and apparently he was buying clothes for Kim and trying to style her. And so was she upset? I don't know. But I think as Fabi, as my wife is saying there, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to get mad. If somebody's like, oh, Amir, man, how could you wear those jeans? I'm like, I just have them. Like, I don't care. I'm not following the trend. And it's not because I have a high self-esteem per se, as much as it's that I care about other stuff.
Right.
You know, like I'm not even thinking about it. So if somebody were to criticize me or give me some, you know, a good suggestion, I might check it out. Like, oh yeah, they said that button-down shirts are in. All right, you know, I'm willing to try something new, but I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm not going to think about it unless somebody says something.
Yeah, I think it also matters if it's a total switch up, like a complete 180. Like you bringing me some that's like completely different. Like,
so if you wore knee length, over the knee skirt, and then he brought you a skirt that's over your knees, like you would feel some type of way?
No, it depends on what kind of skirt it was. I mean, you know, not the length per se, because I wear all lengths of skirts. But you know, like if you come to me with some Mary Poppins type clothes, you know, why don't you try this tonight? And I'm gonna be like, you know, if that happens a couple times, I'm going to start thinking that I don't dress like the type of woman you really want to be with. So, and I'm not changing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So before we get into a problem, why don't you go look for little peep and I keep doing what I'm doing?
No, I would be. I mean, I think really, you know, I think there's people out there. I mean, I know in, you know, heterosexual relationships, I've seen some men who, you know, take style so seriously that they take longer than their woman to get ready. And, you know, people are like, how could you? But I'm like, people have different priorities, you know, like even if it's a stereotype, oh, women take forever. I've known girls who don't take forever. So it's just kind of like, you know, if you're trying to change these people, I think it's a control thing, and you should probably reevaluate why you're with that person. If you want to change them, you know, I think it's a bad idea.
100%
at all.
100%. I'm with you on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, it's people do. I think that people make a decision, but I think sometimes it's not all because they're wanting to. I think sometimes it is to fit into that situation. You know, I do think that, I mean, and then there's other people who stand out and stand up and say, no, I'm not, this is who I was when I met you. And this is, you know, you're going to take it, you know, take it or leave it. I do think that there's people on both ends of that spectrum of, you know, what they do to fit into a marriage or to, you know, and then there's people who end up being resentful because I did all this for you and I did all this for you. And then ultimately I still wasn't good enough. You still cheated on me. You still, you know, you still this, you still that, you still whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it's just, you know, so it's just, I guess we just have to all be mindful of what, you know, being conforming. What are you conforming to? Is this really what you want to do? Are you going to end up being resentful?
You might be joining a cult.
Yeah. You know, Shanika, I have been, you know, like that, take it or leave it. I like that. I like when people have conversations like that. You know, this is how it was. I just have never given anybody, and I've been in this situation once or twice, but I've never had this conversation, take it or leave it, because I still felt like either one or both people are giving up something they want. So I never considered take it or leave it. I just left it because the take it or leave it is an ultimatum, in my opinion. And I didn't want to impose that on that person, because if I have to say take it or leave it, that means you feel passionately enough about whatever the situation is for it to be an issue in our connection. Let me just free you, thus freeing myself, so we can both go to somebody where we don't have to worry about that. I think compatibility is so key.
So I don't like it, like, and you know, even with saying that, like we're talking about clothes. I mean, I know this is like so minute, but I don't even like. I don't like people who buy name brand stuff. Like I don't like it. I don't like.
Most of my stuff is not. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't think that I could ever. If my husband was like really into like having name brand everything, like I don't think we would make it, because I'm be like, I can't. Like I don't see
Gucci down to the socks.
Right, $500 on a bill and some red bottoms. I'm like, we can invest that in. Like, why would you do that? And as soon as it's here, you throwing it away. Like, I just don't. I would much rather. I mean, and I used to have friends
and do
that friends who would be like, why are you like, they would like buying stuff for Asia. Like when she was little, I used to shop at Dollar General. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to be mad if she puts a hole in a pair of $5 jeans. But if I buy a $40 pair of jeans and she's 6 and she puts a hole in that, like I'm going to be pissed off. So like, no, I'm not buying my kid all of this name brand, and even for myself. Like I mean,
there's investing in clothes, and then there's investing in image, right? Like I think if you shop luxury brands, that's cool. Spend your money, invest in something that's gonna last. But you don't have to invest for your image. Oh, I only wear Gucci. I only wear this. I mean, it took me forever to realize what those rappers were talking about when they kept saying they had a Patek. It's like, who? Patek? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just have no idea. And I mean, then it's like, oh, it's just a watch. I don't care. I'm glad and I hope it keeps time well. Like, goodness, So I just think it's all about who you are. I don't think you should try and change them. And also, I do think we should keep it clear. Like, if you're changing a character trait, that's different than than trying to say a habit bothers you. Like trying to change habits. I think that's the difference. I'll say that.
100%. Wow, great discussion, you guys.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you guys for tuning in. And are y'all okay? Everybody okay? I'm gonna take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I think I'm okay.
All right. I knew you were bringing it up here. Thank you. Thank you. I love having it. You know what? That's what makes the conversations unfiltered and uncut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Me too.
Be back. What is it, next week? This is, how many weeks is this? Is this like the 12th week? What week
This is the fifth.
This is the 5th week. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we will be back next week. I have so many topics I didn't get on. I was going to bring up this last topic, but it's heavy. So we're going to do that next week.
Can we get a little preview?
No, it's just, it's about, so, everybody at some point is going to get old. God forbid you get to a point where you can't take care of yourself. In the Black community, we don't believe in nursing homes. So I know back in my day, don't put me in a nursing home. And there was always this guilt associated to putting people, loved ones, parents, or whatever, into assisted living or nursing homes. So it's just this backstory about this Black author who had to make the decision to put his mom into a memory care facility, and the reasons that he went through like a long struggle to make that decision. But it's just a conversation about that and what you think those responsibilities are as a family member or a child when it comes to having to make that decision. So it's going to be kind of heavy. I definitely didn't want to do it after this one. So we're going to wait until next week.
All right. I'm excited.
I'm ready for that.
It is.
All right. So
All right.
here next week. Make sure you tune in for some other juicy topics as well for the chat, where we're always unscripted, unfiltered, and uncut. We'll see you next week. Anybody have any closing words?
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Just come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
See you there.
Cheering. Bye.